calling from an 804 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Jeremy from Richmond, Virginia. He's writing the
Jeremy.
third album.
Jeremy from Virginia.
Daredevil.
Oh, it's
If
Daredevil.
it isn't
What's
my friend
up?
Daredevil.
Hey,
Hey,
Daredevil.
hey, just wanted to call in, congratulate you first on your own show.
Thanks.
So good with that. As you can probably tell from my nerdy voice, I'm not much of a sports person, so more interested in the politics of it all. So I've been trying to get my friend who doesn't follow politics and is a big NFL fan to start watching your show. So hopefully he can be open up to some ideas. He grew up in Florida, so he's kind of got some like conservative reflexes and Florida brain. But I was hoping maybe you could recap the whole Brian Flores situation or just what's going on with the Dolphins. So that's his team. I was trying to tell him at the time when I was watching Majority Report, and he just has the worst reactions and takes to that type of stuff. Like the NFL didn't find issues of discrimination, therefore there was none, and just other weird takes. But I feel like he's getting a lot of conservative takes on like sports on YouTube because he doesn't watch much politics directly.
So, I'll answer this question, Daredevil, and thanks for calling in.
Yeah, I could take it off the air.
Okay, cool. So in terms of for your friend, that you might be skeptical for some of these kinds of claims, Brian Flores' lawsuit was essentially centered around the fact that Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, as you may know, friend of Daredevil, had essentially asked Brian Flores to tank and that he would pay him sums of money, and I think it's like $100,000 for every game that he lost. Now, there has at least been one corroborating source, according to some media reports, hearing this, who was able to back up his claims. And the NFL was able to find that yes, Stephen Ross violated one of the two, or actually did do one of the two things essentially that Brian Flores said in his accusations, which was that he tampered with Tom Brady and was trying really hard to get Tom Brady into the fold and into the team on multiple occasions when he left the Patriots, was leaving the Patriots, and when he was on the Bucs. So they desperately wanted Tom Brady in town. The NFL, because Flores is suing the NFL and Stephen Ross and the Dolphins, didn't concede that second part, but they said basically, and commended Flores in their discipline of Stephen Ross and conceded that that part was true. But they're not going to say anything about the racial discrimination part and the tanking accusations. And the tanking is inextricably tied to the racism. And I know that that's maybe not something that seems intuitive when you're thinking about it, but think about it like this. Sometimes NFL head coaches get hired and they are black. Think about how many NFL head coaches have been hired to teams that were expected to succeed that were black. It's not really a long list. Really is not a long list. We're seeing it kind of right now with the Houston Texans, a notoriously bigoted organization, I'll be real. They hired David Culley, a black head coach, and when they were named in Flores' lawsuit as well, they hired Lovie Smith, who has not been coaching for many years, and they don't plan on being very good this year either. Brian Flores was asked to tank. This was his first opportunity as an NFL head coach, or it was alleged, and he's claiming that, even though one of his secondary claims already corroborated, already proved by the NFL, but they can't admit to the racial discrimination part. This would be something that would ruin his future employment for years and years. You get hired based on your win-loss record as a second head coach. Usually you only get one chance, and especially if you have a terrible win-loss record, you're not going to get a second bite at the apple as an NFL head coach. And so you'll often see this be the case. Black head coaches don't necessarily get hired when they're expected to win. They'll get hired as placeholders. They'll get hired as guys, and when teams are falling apart. Hugh Jackson tried to make a similar claim as well, and to me, I think that's fairly clear about what the Browns are trying to do there. It doesn't need to be explicit, but these owners who are billionaires and they're all non-black, they, in their mind, probably just have a vision of the kind of guy that's going to lead my team and the kind of guy that I like, but we know we're not going to be very good right now, and I want us to be set up in a position to be good when we hire the right guy. And in the case of the Dolphins, that was Sean Payton. That was Sean Payton. And that was a part of the proven tampering accusations in Brian Flores's claim against the NFL. So that part was already understood. And friend of Daredevil, just look at the proportion of black players to black head coaches in this league. It makes no sense. If you're looking at it completely logically, it makes no sense, right? These black players know the game. They're in it. They've been a part of it their entire lives. Why does every white guy that sniffs Sean McVay's ass, essentially, or breathe the same air as him, get a head coaching opportunity? Why has Eric Bieniemy,
I was just going to say,
who has been a part of the Chiefs' roaring success, Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator, why has he not got any serious looks at that position?
Byron Leftwich. Leslie Frazier is still not a head coach. He's still with the Bills.
Yeah.
And he has been, but the point is he hasn't been again.
That was back-to-back black offensive coordinators who won the Super Bowl, in the Chiefs and then the Bucs the years after that. And who gets the credit in that, at least with Byron Leftwich? Oh, it's Arians and Brady. It's Brady, right? No, Byron Leftwich was able, and by the way, doesn't seem like Brady liked Arians very much. He likes working with Byron Leftwich.
But credit to Arians in that particular regard, in that he always kind of shepherded Leftwich in terms of like tutelage and having him be his protege and really advocating for him. And there really are not that many coaches who do that especially for black assistants and black associates, in coaching trees and things like that.
Yeah, no, Arians is a good guy. One of the good ones in terms of that in that regard.
But take the Texan situation, like you were saying, that essentially they hired Culley as essentially a placeholder. He didn't even get the chance to continue anything with an absolutely terrible team. He didn't get to actually try and build anything because he got such a short leash.
And they had what, 5 wins or 4 wins?
Might even have been 3.
I don't know, but either way, they looked more competent than they should have under his.
Exactly,
yeah.
Absolutely. Like they did. Like even Davis Mills, who was not a highly touted quarterback prospect, looked significantly better than I ever thought he would have looked under David Culley. Then the reporting was that Josh McCown, who has literally never coached in any capacity, was considered to be the finalist for the one of the finalists for the Texans head coaching job because he goes to church with the GM.
And right, and that's why not even the GM, right?
The player Easterby, the player shaman,
Wormtongue, who is in the owner's ear constantly praying for him and praying with him and all this stuff. It's like the reason that they didn't hire Josh McCown, and it seemed like they were onto it, was because then
pure optics.
Then after that was being reported and he was being included, like it was so ridiculous that after Brian Flores' lawsuit hit, they were unable to make it work.
Look over there, we hired Lovie Smith.
Yeah, what was he last at? Eastern Illinois.
He was at Illinois and I think went like 8-15 or something as their head coach. And nothing against Lovie Smith. I mean, he really was one of the innovators of defensive coaching this century, basically. But it just seems It just seems so morally and ethically bankrupt to very transparently telegraph your ambitions to hire an unqualified nepotism product white head coach, and then when a scandal happens about racism in the NFL, turn tail and hire a black guy.
Yeah. Mind Pillow Guy says Brian Flores' lawsuit also alleges that the Giants and the Broncos set up sham interviews with him for head coach just to satisfy the NFL's Rooney Rule, which requires clubs to interview at least one black candidate. Yeah, I mean, the Giants, when they hired Shane, knew they were hiring Brian Daboll 100%.
You'll recall Bill Belichick texting Brian Flores and saying, "Oops, wrong Brian."
Wrong Brian.
When he realized
Whoops.
that actually it was Brian Daboll who got the job, and Flores, who received that text after his interview, thinking he was still in contention, was notified by his former boss that he had accidentally texted the incorrect Brian, the white Brian, who got that head coaching job.
And
instead.
the Giants of all of these organizations are perceived to be as one of the most respectable and forward thinking in some of those areas. Not maybe forward thinking, but at least like they treat their guys right. And even they have this problem. And the problem is that black coaching candidates are not treated and taken seriously in the same way. And the Giants can say all they want about this, which is like, we didn't want to go with another New England type guy. We didn't want to go with another hard-nosed guy, which I think is true. But then, okay, Eric Bieniemy, why didn't you interview him? Why didn't you interview Byron Leftwich, right? Like, there is a problem around the league. And there is like this implicit bias that, a black guy can't be an offensive guru. That's for white guys with their computers and their analytics. No, I mean, this is part of the systemic racism of the NFL.
Oh, and sorry, someone I think might have been Tim Schultz in chat might have corrected me that I'm not. But someone in chat, if they could confirm this, it might have been before he even had the interview, where.
Yeah, it was. It was before.
Like he might not have even had the chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Flores when Daboll got the job.
I mean, it hadn't been announced yet, but essentially, like, maybe Daboll was told behind the scenes, and we'll see if that's proven. But yeah, that is the reality, and so hopefully, Daredevil's friend, this resonates with you a little bit.
Keep watching, and hope, and the Dolphins look pretty good in Week 1, so I hope you're happy.
Yeah.